Baseball fans around the world are mourning the passing of one of the greatest to ever play the game. Major League Baseball says Willie Mays died yesterday at the age of 93.
Mays amassed an impressive career where he was named an All-Star 24 times. He won 12 Gold Glove Awards and 2 National League MVP awards. He's also known for his iconic play dubbed The Catch in Game 1 of the 1954 World Series.
You're seeing Grant Brisbee now. He's a staff writer for The Athletic who covers the San Francisco Giants. Grant, it's hard to really describe Willie Mays' overall achievements, but how would you characterize his impact on the game, both on and off the field?
It's not just that he had impact on the game of baseball. It's the impact he had on American culture and the footprint he had on general American life. On the field, he was as good as they come. He could do it all. He had what they call 5 tools. He was as fast as anyone. He had the power. He had the average. He could, as you saw, he could catch. He could do everything. But off the field, he was an icon. He was someone. It's hard to imagine today, but the outsized footprint of baseball in American life. He was the next great superstar across the country. He was a San Francisco West Coast superstar at the time when West Coast baseball was very new. Everything about him was just superstar, larger than life, and that's why it hurts so bad around the country today.
But it's such a great opportunity to talk about Mays and his multiple contributions. Speaking to our floor director here, he was talking about how he was the Michael Jordan of baseball. In one game, he scored 3 home runs, if you can imagine that. But then, as you mentioned, he was also a cultural figure because he served the country. He served the U.S. Army for nearly 2 years during the Korean War. He never saw combat, but he did receive the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2015. Talk about how, especially given that he spanned the Negro Leagues and then the majors, his contributions to the country as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, the Korean War service is really interesting because he left. When he left, he was still in his early 20s. He had not made that imprint on the game. He wasn't yet a superstar. He missed some time. And when he came back, he was, MVP level, all-star level, just the full everything ahead. He was the superstar that he would eventually become. And you wonder what would have happened if he had not missed those couple of years in his prime. But beyond that, he was just with the Negro Leagues. There's actually a special game being planned between the Giants and Cardinals in Birmingham, Alabama, to celebrate Rickwood Field. They're going to have a plaque put at Rickwood Field, which is where he played with the Birmingham Black Barons. So he is just an all-time, just right at the nexus of a lot of different historical points. And that's why he was so beloved and just such an outsized part of baseball in American life.
And American culture.
Yeah, and we mourn his loss, but we, celebrate the fact that he had such a rich and long life. All right, Grant Brisbee, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for having me.